this thing started, and then we can somehow, perhaps I can manage to do some kind of a, I don't know, introduction, whatever, when it's time in a couple of minutes. What do you say about that? Huh?
Song and dance intro?
Yeah. I mean, this is incredible. It looks like we'll be just on time. I never am normally, so.
Great.
All the thousands and thousands of people watching, you know, they can check their watches when we get started. Better take my glasses. This is getting serious now. This pre-show thing is always a bit strange. And well, actually, we are obviously live now already, but before going live, it's like you never know if something is going out or not, huh?
Right.
I don't trust that. That's for sure. But yep.
Well, I mean, the number of teachers that I have here at my school that actually do the Post-it note over their webcam, just because of they see the news where people have hacked the laptop's webcam or something like that, and they're all nervous. And
yeah. What do you think about that?
well, I always ask them, what are you doing that anybody would want to hack you to begin with? I mean,
that's an interesting
most of the time I'm sitting here looking at my screen. There's not that much to take a photo of anyway. So
yeah.
Why would they pick you? It would be somebody who would have their laptop in their bedroom or something else that they'd want to possibly catch somebody doing something that they shouldn't. And I don't think you have anything to worry about in your classroom that much.
I've never done anything wrong anyway, so, you know, like
that. See, there you go.
Let's get this show on the road. It's 4 p.m. at least on my side of the pond. So, yep, we are on air, and this is Be Smart on Air. That's kind of a tough name for the show, actually. Hard to live up to that. Be Smart on Air interview, actually. And I'm Niilo, located in the very north. I just normally say North Pole. Not quite, though. Very northern Sweden. And I've got with me Fred Delventhal from the US today. Fred, hope I didn't massacre your name completely.
No, you got it right on.
Absolutely great. I'm always a little bit worried about that thing, but it can be tough. Let's see. We just figured out that we have 6 hours, like this time difference thing. I'm ahead, I think, in the future.
And that's your nice way of saying that I'm behind.
Yeah, you're behind. Your location being west, oh no, of course not, East Coast, more or less, not quite East Coast, I guess, but Virginia?
Yeah, right now it's 10 a.m. and I am located just outside across the river from Washington, D.C.
All right. Really close to the, how would I put it, thick of things?
Yeah, or the thinning orange hair.
Okay. Before we move on, let's just quickly get it straight that you are actually kind of extra busy, or you might be today, right?
Yeah, today is our first day of standardized testing. So it just started right at 10 o'clock as we began our interview. And so if I get called out, it means that there's a problem and I may need to leave very quickly in order to see what the problem is and see if I can help.
The first day of standardized testing. Yep, like I said earlier, I guess standardized tests, that's kind of a hot topic in many parts of the world, actually. We might get back to that a little bit later. But how many days are you doing that?
It is every day for the next, well, approximately every day for the next 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So we have testing for third graders, fourth graders, and fifth graders. Everybody gets tested on math and science. Those would be on separate days. So that's pretty much 2 tests for 3 grade levels. That's 6 tests. Plus then one of the grade levels gets tested on science, another one on history. So,
And the age group is what?
third grade is 8 years old.
All right.
And then fifth grade is 10 years old.
Okay, got it.
So 8 to 10-year-olds.
All right. What about your school? Tell a little bit about your school and your job as well. You might do that since we are talking about
Okay. Well, I'm an instructional technology coordinator, and basically I am in charge of every aspect of technology within our elementary school. Our elementary school has approximately 550 students from pre-K all the way up through fifth grade. And it's a small school district, smaller, medium. I mean, our school district has approximately 25,000 students, whereas all the surrounding school districts around us have approximately 125,000 to 200,000 students.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, they're much larger school districts than mine. That's why I sort of say we're kind of small with 25,000 students.
And your location is really close to the where the interesting things happen in the United States these days, right? Close to
Yes.
Washington, D.C., right?
Yes. A
Just
lot of
like,
our parents are lawyers.
okay. Okay. Any
And
further comments about that?
no, I mean, our school district is very multicultural.
Mhm.
I think there's also a lot of foreign service diplomats that send their kids to our schools and things.
Okay.
And so we have a fairly large second English as a second language population just in my school, which is approximately 55% of the students don't speak English as their first language. And so we have
What are the most common first languages then?
Spanish,
Of course,
Mongolian,
yeah. Spanish and
Mongolian,
wow.
And trying to think of what I'd almost have to say Ukrainian, Russian.
All right.
So we've had several students that just joined us within the last few years. But we also, I mean, one of my favorite times in the whole year is there's United Nations Day in October. And that's when we celebrate the diversity of our own school. And the students are encouraged to dress up in their heritage costumes.
Hey, that's
from
neat.
their country and stuff. And so that's I always make sure that I am at school and snapping pictures and all from that, because it's the best celebration that we have all year.
Yeah, I bet. No problems about snapping pictures, and like these days when this stranger danger thing is kind of a big
Well, I
issue.
mean, we do. There is we have a media opt-out form. So it's assumed that if you're going to be sending students to our school, that because of the nature of our school is very out there in the open, kind of publishing and sharing and all, that parents are given the opportunity to opt out from allowing their students to have their picture taken or video and that kind of thing. And so as long as the students' parents sign that form, then we can't take images, and we're alerted by the classroom teachers as to this student can't have pictures. And there's never any judgment if a parent is nervous about it or if there are other reasons that may be legal issues or something else happening at home, religious reasons.
Yeah.
Then there's never any question. We just don't do it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's really smart way of playing it all together. Really smart.
But it is sort of,
yeah.
Some parents will ask, why wasn't my child's picture on the website? So they will also go to the other side of, they want their child to be featured.
Which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
I remember, like, it was a couple of years ago, I was talking to my, I think, #1 guru from the US, Will Richardson. And he said that, or we talked about one of the things he said way back. I don't know what occasion that was. Must have been some conference, whatever. He said something like, I want my children to be found by strangers on the internet. And that's kind of, whoa. And I remember asking him that, didn't that ruffle some feathers or something like that? And he said, yeah, it was supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, there are some rules that we are expected to follow where we're not, like, say, when we post an image, there won't be a caption of the students' names.
Yeah.
So the image can be posted, but without any names attached, so that people would be able to identify and link those names. So yes, we do try to respect a certain amount of stranger danger kind of thing, where we don't want somebody driving up to the playground and shouting a student's name and having them come over or something like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, of course.
names
of course.
I'm a big stickler at my school where we will normally use initials of the student rather than posting their first or last name.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That's
Parents
for sure.
can identify their kids. They know when their kids' pictures on the website or tweeted out or something, and they don't need to know their names.
That's right. Absolutely. So your job, I mean, it's pretty obvious now seeing your lower third, even if I didn't know that from way back earlier, that you are heavily into the Google education ecosystem. I guess that's correct, putting it that way.
Yes.
How's that? How did that get started?
Well, it was for a long while, beginning in 2006 or so, way back that long ago. I was with
that's not a long time ago. It's just what, 10 years, a bit more, 11.
Right. Yeah. I started doing some stuff with Discovery Education. And
being what?
I was leadership council chairperson. Okay. Where they would have geographically, they would have groups of volunteer educators that would organize and do events and so on. And there was one call that went out for if anybody was interested in Second Life. And Second Life, for people who don't know, is this virtual world with avatars and things like
Yeah.
that.
Does it
And
still exist?
yes, it does,
Right.
but I haven't been in it in several years, just like
Mm.
other people. But I had just gotten into Second Life and decided to attend this meeting, and ended up leaving the meeting as the chairperson of this group. And so for for a few years, we were doing events in Second Life where we would go and do workshops on taking pictures and other different kinds of technology tools for educators. We were doing this with people around the world. And through that was where, because our group wasn't geographically centered, we were making use of Google Docs and Google Calendar as a group that was disconnected, but working really cohesively as a group. And so that's where I started getting into that. Well, a lot of the people in that group had become Google certified teachers. And so in 2009, I applied and was accepted to being a Google certified teacher. And if you'll excuse me, just hold on to that thought. I have somebody at my door.
All right, no problem. We'll get back to Google certified teachers in a
Yeah,
bit.
all right. So back to that. And so through that, then I guess it was in Boulder at the Google headquarters where I first heard about Dr. Daniel Russell. And he is the Uber tech lead at Google. That's his title. And he does research as to how people search.
All right. They've got cool titles, by the way, those guys, huh?
Oh, yeah, because they get to write their own. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I started following Dr. Russell, and he has a blog called Search Research. It's search.research1.blogspot.com. And every week he would post a brand new question to see how people search. And he would look at, how did this person find the answer versus how did this person find the answer, and try to listen to their reasoning. We were asked to write it out, to just see if we could learn from each other. And so I was spending some time on there, and ended up, after answering the questions every week, he invited me to Mountain View
Oh, very
to
nice.
to attend the Top Contributor Summit as a search expert, because
Right.
Myself and another woman were considered very good at searching. I mean, we knew how to use and manipulate the tools to find what he thought were hidden answers on the web. And so it was nice to be able to go there and listen to the top contributors in the Google product forums,
Right.
and hear how they were helping people in terms of using Google search, using all the different, there were people from around the world, and they're all volunteering their time and answering questions when someone has a question about a certain product. And so let's see, this is 2017, 2015, 2013. That's when I was invited out there, and really thought these guys are the rock stars of the Google products, because they're donating their time, their knowledge. They are some of the smartest people because they know how to find the answers, and they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart to help other people. And what I realized is that although I know how to search and I can teach other people how to search, there were a lot of other questions that I couldn't really help people with in terms of the product forum. I tried to sit in on the Google search tool product forum, and the questions that come in there are just so out there, and yet these
Yeah.
people tend to find an answer to give to help these people. So I sort of just sat on that for a year or so, and then a call went out to the Google certified teachers that Google was releasing a new product called Google Classroom, and they needed some help in the Google for Education product forum. I didn't know that there was a Google for Education product forum, and decided, okay, I need to know as much as I can about Google Classroom in order to help these people. I'm going to sit and watch, learn from the other people that are answering questions, and that way I can be better for my teachers here at my school in terms of helping them implement Google Classroom. And so I was accepted into what was called back then the Google Classroom Experts when I applied, and working my way through the forum, became a rising star.
Now you're a rock star.
And then finally became a top contributor. And I mean, it's very disconcerting to some people because it's not like I ever went in looking for another title. I'm not the kind of person that collects titles of,
Yeah.
oh, I was this for Discovery, I was this for whatever. I could care less about whether or not I ever got to be a rising star or a top contributor. What I wanted to do was learn as much as I could so that I could help my teachers be as best that be the best that they could be with Google Classroom. Getting in on the ground level helped, but also seeing the passion of the Google Classroom team of how they were doing things differently than in the other product forums was amazing. And it was it is great to be a part of it, as you know, because you're
Yeah.
a part
Full,
of.
yeah, full disclosure, I'm sometimes trying to do a little bit of good there as well at the Education Product Forum. But I mean, I must say that it just blows me away how much time people invest in that, like one of those being you. I mean, it's just crazy how fast questions are answered most of the time there.
Well, and I think that's if we were to be competitive in any way, it's not necessarily competing with each other, it's competing with the other product forums, because the Google for Education product forum is different than any other product forum because if you look at the other product forums, the questions that are coming in come in from every socioeconomic level.
That's right.
And for most of our questions, the people asking questions are teachers or educators that have to have a college degree. And so that limits us to answering educated people as opposed to some with limited education that you may get in the other categories. And the other products are so broad in their usage, where ours is targeted
That's
at
right. That's right. Yeah.
education. And so, yes, we'll get some students playing around, but even the students, for the most part, if we talk to them as a teacher talking to a student, will behave.
Yeah. Sure. That seems to be the case. of course, this chat of ours is not supposed to be, some kind of a hallelujah Google thing. It might be a little bit, since there are tons of good things connected to Google in education, the way I see it, at least. I wouldn't be G Suite super admin otherwise, I'd guess. But of course, it's interesting to me, and I guess it might be to many others as well, to hear a bit about how you are, like connected to all of this stuff. What about the other ecosystems? Say, I mean, there are a couple of big players in education, and education is hot in tech, of course, these days. Like, say, not completely unknown brands like Microsoft and Apple. What's your competence in those areas?
Well, my school is all PC Windows, officially.
All right.
Except that our second through fifth graders we have a 1-to-1 program with iPads. My teachers, for the most part, I'd say 50% have gone out and bought their own MacBooks that they use as their teacher device instead of the one that the school district gives them, which is a Windows device.
They bought their own MacBooks on their own dime?
Yes.
Interesting.
And that's primarily because my school district works on a 4-year cycle of teachers are assigned a laptop, and at the end of that 4-year cycle, they'll get a replacement, a newer laptop. We're at that 4-year mark right now. So this summer, we're getting brand new laptops, and they'll be Windows machines. But our machines started to slow down. We're still on Windows 7 2 years ago, and teachers were getting frustrated in just how they were locked down, how slow they were, and just what they could do with them. So a lot of them decided that they would go out, and it took one to sort of start the ball rolling, and then everybody got jealous and they started buying their own whenever they could. And so now I support them no matter what. I don't buy into the philosophy of it's all got to be one type of machine, because we never know what type of machine our students have at home, what type they'll be using in the future. So throughout our different programs here at my school, we have iPads, and we've had iPads since they were first released, but we also have several lab sets of Chromebooks that are available for usage. We have, I think, 75 Chromebooks. So 3 different lab sets that can travel to the classrooms when the teachers need actual keyboards instead of the iPad keyboard, touchpad. Right. And then we also have certain classrooms where the teachers have written grants and gotten 5 or 6 MacBooks that they have in their classroom at all times, as well as the PCs. So I think a hybrid model, if it's possible to support it, which we are, is what I'd rather expose our kids to, and our teachers too. I mean, a lot of the teachers said, "Oh, I could never use a Chromebook because I don't know how they work." And then as soon as they see the kids just get on them, because another teacher will have them get on, and the teacher sees how easy it is, they'll go, "Oh, can I check out the Chromebooks?"
Sure. Sure.
And how fast they are. I mean, that's the other thing, was that the kids would do experiments as to how long it took our Windows machines to turn on.
Yeah.
And then they would count down from 10, and so they would see that the Chromebooks were 10 seconds or less.
Sure.
And hang on just a second.
You getting those standardized test questions there?
Somebody's just checking in to let me know that everything is going all right. So,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. Whoops.
Interesting stuff for sure. My school district is PC Windows all the way, and of course there are teachers who use Macs. Like I don't think you get any support, any central support for Macs, but I mean it's up to you if you especially if you buy it on your own dime. Which I wouldn't do because I wouldn't have the money. But I have both these days. I don't much care either what the logotype is. I mean, if it does the job, that's fine, and that should be the main criteria.
There used to be, and I used to be Windows at home and use only Macs at school because my other school that I was at previously was all Macs.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's the same district, we have certain schools that are all Macs, certain schools that are all PC.
Okay.
But I was always Windows at home because there was certain software that I wanted to use that was only on the Windows. Like Picasa, when for editing photos and things, Picasa at one time was only on Windows. And suddenly it became device agnostic. And as we look at more of these web-based applications that schools can use, device doesn't matter. I mean, that's one, not to jump back onto the Google fanboy thing, but I mean, one of our big concerns with some of our families that qualify for free and reduced lunch based on their socioeconomic level is if a teacher sends out something that is a Word document, not all of our families have the capability of having Microsoft Word. Whereas if it's on Google Docs or something, then it doesn't matter. They can open it on, they can download the app on their phone and still have access to that information.
Sure.
And so that helped break down a lot of those barriers as to teachers at the beginning of the year. I mean, this is maybe 8 years ago, would send home a survey as to what kind of computer do you have at home, or whether or not you even have a computer at home, because that would affect how they would be able to communicate with the families in their classroom. And now it pretty much, I have teachers that use Remind 101. It's now just Remind, but like for texting and that kind of thing. So the device has ended up not mattering.
Right. Which is the way it should be, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about these big players in ed tech, I guess these days it is Google and Microsoft. Apple somehow, I don't know, they used to be huge. They owned this space earlier, didn't they?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened actually, but talking about Microsoft, are there many school districts in the US? What's your view on this, using Office 365, for example?
I think they're trying to move back into their space with what we saw with Windows 10s being released.
Right.
The problem always comes up with whether or not there's ever any sort of a fee for using it with, because with Google, there's never any fee. There's no fee associated with Google Docs or the G Suite applications. And there's always seems to be somewhat of a subscription fee or something with the Office 365. We offer both at my school district. Students have
Okay.
access, and students and teachers have access to Office 365 and G Suite,
Wow.
as well as, even I work online now that Apple has sort of put that out there. But the students and teachers, once they start using the G Suite applications, the collaboration just seems to be smoother and less, I don't know, clunky.
Oh man, don't ask me what's going on here. My Chrome crashed again.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't even necessarily affect the YouTube recording at all. That'll be interesting to see afterwards. But I mean, I don't get it. This has actually never happened earlier, especially when I had this tiny MacBook only. And now I have a brand new PC with tons of memory and whatnot, and all of a sudden it crashes. What's going on here? I don't know. I don't have
And
lots of
here I
things
am on
going
an
on.
8-year-old MacBook,
Ah, man.
and
I don't know. I hope this thing just doesn't, like die on me. Seriously strange. Ah.
well, I kept on talking while you were gone.
Yeah, right. Just keep droning on, No one notices anything. That's what I do.
Well, going back to that, to your question to me, what about you? Do you have Office 365 at your school?
Well, it's really interesting right now since uh, my school is actually the only one of the non-private schools in the area. There aren't that many private schools, a couple of only in the very north where I live. In this school district, I think my school is the only one, using one of these cloud-based platforms. In my case, it's G Suite.
Uh-huh.
And we've been doing that like for more than 4 years now. And not much has happened apart from that in the rest of the school district for reasons that are interesting. But now things are happening at last, and either G Suite or Office 365 will be offered to all schools of my school district in the near future. What that means, I'm not quite sure of. But the decision should have been made actually yet already, but it hasn't been. It hasn't been yet. So I don't know. Of course, there are things happening with the legislation as well on the European level. However, that shouldn't be a major obstacle. I mean, like in Sweden, there are many school districts using G Suite and Office 365 as well. I don't know about the numbers, but there are pretty large number of school districts using those services. And of course, I mean, you got to be prepared for the changes in the laws and regulations. And I mean, then you're good. Then you just adjust what needs to be adjusted, and you just roll with it. So I really hope that this thing isn't going to stop anything on my home turf right now.
Right.
But I don't know what the decision will be. Really, there's been a pretty big comparison work going on for the whole actually the whole term. I've been involved in that as well. Several teachers and ID folks, and it's been interesting for sure.
And people get passionate.
People get passionate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for any one product, I mean, we always had the Mac and PC debate
Yeah, but
of
like the Mac
I
and
want Macs, I
PC.
want PCs.
Ah, no, yeah, sure. The Mac or Mac versus PC debates, uh, in a way, it's a bit different from, say, G Suite versus Office 365 debate, um, due to reasons we've touched on already, in a way, I think,
Yeah,
since
I
the
mean,
devices don't matter that much any longer.
right. And except I think people who, and I'm talking about administrative people,
Hmm.
teachers, the adults
Yeah.
who they went through school on using Microsoft Word.
Hmm.
They might not have ever used anything like Google Docs or Google Sheets or anything like that. And so they want to stay comfortable.
Absolutely, sure. Who doesn't? Who
And
doesn't want to stay
so
comfortable?
they're going to go, but they also might not have ever learned how to collaborate
Yeah.
in terms of working on a document at the same time, and know that that's how the students in the future, I mean, we've tried, my colleagues and I, of, you know, working in Office 365
Hmm.
just to say, let's do this, let's give it its chance. And it was just horrible. I mean, for our experience. Now, somebody else's experience may be different, but
And you of course might be, just like I might be, ever so slightly biased.
right, exactly. But I mean, I think it's important not to, sometimes the passion comes from the fear of learning something new. You're comfortable and you think that you still have this vision of the world where everybody is using Microsoft Word. I remember when I first came to my job in 96, and all of the administrative staff were using Word Perfect 5.1
I
for
sure
DOS.
remember Word Perfect.
I mean, but they were in Windows, but yet they were using the DOS version of WordPerfect 5.1, and it
Sure.
was
I
a
mean,
big
it's
deal.
it's this it's this comfort zone thing. You feel really
Yeah,
nice and cozy in there, huh?
I mean, I learned to word process using WordStar on a Zenith Z100 computer. WordStar was, the top of the line word processing on a 5.25-inch floppy disk
Sure.
at the time. And
Yeah.
yet, to think that something is ever going to stay the same, I mean, I don't think that it would be wrong for us to say, well, G Suite and Google Docs is how everybody's going to be writing in the future. No, nobody's saying that. But that style of collaboration and that kind of working together to produce a product, that is where we are moving, and not where one person at a time can work on a document. Otherwise, you'll get the error message that, sorry, somebody already has this document open.
Yeah, right.
You can't open this document. It's already opened by somebody else.
Right, sure.
Or saving. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that in teaching teachers is they're asking, how do I save this? And I go,
Yeah,
it's already saved.
yeah, yeah, right.
And if you're still using a program that says when you go to quit it and it asks you, do you want to save your changes? You're
Mhm.
using an outdated program.
Yeah. So many of the applications still function that way, though. Like I'd say, I guess most of the very heavy applications like video editing, whatnot, you do need to, I guess, save your stuff before you quit.
Well, but I mean, even like a lot of the Mac stuff, Pages, iMovie and stuff, they're saving as you're going along.
Yeah, I guess it. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So they've
You're
even
right.
moved forward. It
Mm.
seems to be a certain Seattle-based program or software company that tends to still ask you to save.
Yeah, right. No names. Seattle. Yeah, there are some tech companies around there. I've heard about that. By the way, how going back in time, we were there just a minute or so back, but how did you get into education? You have a tech background?
Oh, now you open that story.
That's a can of worms, huh?
My undergrad, I went to a teacher's university and I was studying to be an elementary school teacher in math and science. I read Seymour Papert's book about computers. I tried to take a computer programming class this is 1984.
Okay.
And
back in the day.
yeah, and hated it. Oh, I hated it. I did my first project, which took me 24 hours in the computer lab to complete the program. And it was just the dumbest thing about trying to get a drunk person home without freezing. It was basically a maze program that we were having to write for the professor. I turned in my program and then I dropped the class immediately. So then I ended up moving forward. Fast forward, I ended up not teaching, and I ended up managing movie theaters.
Okay.
Yeah. Was in New York City for a while, and then moved back down. And a lot of my friends turned out to be teachers, and they said you really need to rethink it. So I ended up going back to school for my master's in education. And my student teaching assignment, one of my cooperating teachers said, teachers go to a lot of meetings. You need to sit in on this meeting, and I'm going to be here so that you don't have me as a crutch. So I had to go to this meeting by myself. And it was a technology meeting, and they were talking about that they didn't know how to teach, they're now being required to use spreadsheets, and they didn't know how. And I started answering their questions.
What a huge mistake. You started answering questions.
Oh, right. Yeah. And the principal,
What would happen?
Said, I want to see you after the meeting. And I went, oh no, what did I do wrong? And she pulled me over to the job board, and there was a brand new job that had been posted that morning that she told me that I needed to apply for, which was a technology coordinator position, which the job was to teach teachers how to independently use technology with their students.
Right.
And I ended up straight from being a student teacher right into being a technology coordinator. And I just had my 25th anniversary, I guess,
hey, whoa.
for this
job.
Congrats. So
way cool. Do you work, I'm not sure if I got that right. Is your job like based in your school, or you like work at several schools in the area?
This year, we are now one instructional technology school, our coordinator per school. So our school district has 31 schools, so there's one each of
Sounds
us.
Great. Now. Sounds great.
When I started, we had something like 28 schools, but there were only 9 of us. I ended up with 6. I had 6 buildings that I was responsible for. And slowly but surely, as population increased in each school, then they were able to go to the school board and request another position and another position.
Okay.
And it really does help in moving teachers forward, and when they know that they have the support right there.
Absolutely. That's the key, for heaven's sake. I hope we could get something like that established here soon.
Well, do you have somebody, I mean, and now let me make sure that people are clear. My job is not tech support.
Yeah,
And my job requires a master's degree in education.
got it.
And although you gain technical experience just by the fact that a teacher's doing a class and needs help and you're helping them make it work, that you learn troubleshooting techniques to do that.
So,
But
so it's all about pedagogical IT use in a way, huh?
Right, exactly.
Especially stressing the word pedagogical.
Yeah, you want them to always base their use of technology with the kids in starting out with what do you want the students to learn?
Right.
And what is your outcome, so that, I've told teachers where, this probably isn't a good lesson to use technology with.
Yeah, sure.
And to be able to guide them away from where they're trying to overcomplicate something just because they want to try something new. And I sort of my principal is one who likes to use new things. And
nothing wrong with that.
And he gets distracted by something shiny.
Okay. Is your principal listening in here?
No. And
okay.
So, but I mean, and he knows because he used to do my job. We were colleagues, and now he's my boss. But
which is kind of interesting situation in a way, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, but it works out because I can talk to him on a certain level that in my past principals have been a little bit harder to get through what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I understand.
And so what I work with certain grade levels on is they've gotten in the mode of, we've already done a book creator project. What else can we do? Or we've done Google Slides once this year. Is there something, can we do, use a different slideshow program or something like that? And I'm trying to guide them as to stick with one and focus on the content, because you don't want to have to always teach the students something new. You can teach the students a new way, a more advanced thing to include in their Google Slides or something, or to polish their Google Slides. Try to work on doing 3 projects in Google Slides throughout the whole course of the year without always trying to find the newest or the latest or the greatest. Now, I'm not against trying something new if it fits, but I think that teachers, even when they keep on being pushed to be innovative, they think innovative is something, trying a different program
more gadgets, more tech.
Rather than teaching the students to be more polished in their publishing and working on improving their use of, say, that application.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something.
Yeah, I would love the students and actually everyone having a bit more like a bird's eye view on things, so that it really shouldn't matter. Like we were talking earlier, it shouldn't matter what kind of a device you've got or what brand it is, or perhaps even if you're in this ecosystem or that other one. What matters is that you can find a way to solve the problem and use whatever you need to use to get it solved the best way. That would be cool.
Right. Yeah. And we are looking, our school district is embracing the buzzword of the current year is personalized learning.
Whoa, okay.
And so we're starting to examine just what that will look like in the classroom at every grade level. And so
So it's more than just a buzzword with other words.
well, I've always been one to always fight buzzwords. Well, I mean, even with, say, on the old podcast that I was a member of with the Google Educast.
We must get back to that a little bit before we quit, by the way.
All right. But we were talking about digital citizenship. And Sean Williams is so brilliant.
Being one of the team, he was in the team of Google Educast.
And he just said, what is digital citizenship? It's teaching kids to not share too much, but be polite, and share nicely, but not too much. He was going through it, and he goes, that's citizenship. There's no digital about it. And so we can start removing this word digital, because it's like, oh my gosh, that was so brilliant that he shared that. And so ever since then, I've been quoting him of, we need to remove that word digital. And for even within my school district, they keep on calling it digital learning.
Yeah.
The whole...
Oh man, I don't like that either.
If we look at what the kids are doing in the classroom, and we're not focusing on the iPads or the computers, it's just normal.
Yeah.
This is what learning looks like to our kids. And so in years past, we used to have an event where we would invite the parents in, and we would call it Digital Learning Night.
Yeah.
With that, then this year we're actually taking the word digital off at my demand, and it's called the Learning Showcase. And the parents are invited in, and the kids will take them around by the hand to show them, this is how I learned, this is how I learn, and this is what I learned.
Sure.
This year.
I mean, it's really kind of absurd. If you go back a couple of years, it would have been called like pen and paper learning night.
Yeah, right.
It's weird. It's really weird. Yeah.
So I'm gonna need to leave in a few minutes.
I think we need to wrap up in a few minutes as well. You got to run right now?
I have another appointment at 11 o'clock, so in 4 minutes.
Yeah, but before we quit, I have a couple of more minutes. So great. I mean, Google Educast, what has happened? Is it still around? It was such a great Hangout on Air show and podcast.
Well,
are you guys
thank you.
Still doing that?
No. Life happened.
Yeah,
and
it does.
A lot of the show hosts, my co-hosts, changed jobs.
Yeah.
And with that, they found that their lives got extremely busy. And because we were located all around the globe.
Which was incredibly cool, by the way, that you could pull it off.
And it was, but with that, it just got to be very hard to schedule time when we were all available. And I think that is what, I mean, there are several of us, or a few of us, that are interested in doing it again. It's just scheduling and time zone wise, it really becomes difficult. So if somebody comes up with a way that we can record each of our parts separately, and it looks like we're having a good conversation and just seems to mesh, then that might be the way it goes. But
live is cool in a way. You have lots of time, huh? So we can do this, like frequently, huh?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, as long as you're willing to do it when it's morning for me and I'm still awake.
I mean, I'm serious here.
So, but yeah, it all depends on what's going on at work.
Sure.
because you contacted me early enough.
Mhm.
So I mean, you started planning this over a month ago. So
I guess I did. Yeah.
that
For
was
once.
perfectly fine. Otherwise,
Yeah.
if you had contacted me last week and I had
Yeah.
seen that we have testing started, I would have probably been saying we need to reschedule.
Sure. 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 You got to be flexible, for heaven's sake. That's the way it is.
Yep.
It's been tons of fun, really tons of fun. Lots to think about, lots of food for thought here for me at least, definitely. You got to run, huh?
Thank you for asking me. Yes, I do.
It's been my pleasure all the way. And hey, see you again on air, huh?
Yes, and in the Google for Education forum.
Definitely.
Niilo is a rising star, so watch for his name in the and you're also in the Hangouts forum too. So
I used to, but those guys there, they're just killing it. I mean, like you said something about that earlier. The questions are so specific these days. I don't have a chance there, you know. But in the education forum, I feel that, especially about a classroom, sometimes I can answer a couple of questions, and I try to do that.
you do great.
Thanks a lot. So take good care.
All right, thank you.
See you soon again.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.